reading doujinshi is an art. As I've mentioned in my previous doujinshi video when I talked about Lord Nuxanor, most people think the biggest Lord Nuxanor flex is when after he drops 14 billion doujinshi in a week, he says, ha ha, how are y'all gonna stop this teeny little butter knife? Well, that is a show of power. What, in my opinion, was a bigger flex on his part was when he's pushing the jizz out of you and nothing happened. But in any case, without further ado, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the biggest, baddest, most badass doujinshi in my Patreon. Kakyoins. No one dodges Emerald Splash! Honestly, it puts almost everything else to shame. Even the Zawarudo is like freaking out and shiz. Master flexing right there. And it goes without saying that this is one of the greatest flexes in all of anime, and potentially all time. Next flex! Flex tape. The most cool quirk of all time. That can really do a lot of damage. Swing around like Spider-Man. Makes explosions, and makes explosions. Next flex! In Yu Yu Hakusho, there is a villain named Toguro, and when he's offered alcohol, instead, he asks for alcohol, which in itself is quite the flex, but what I'm talking about is more on the mathematical lines. When Toguro starts fighting Yusuke and says, ha, I'm stronger than you, and I'm only using 100% of my power. I mean, Toguro in his fight with Yusuke is growing in power constantly. Every time it turns out Yusuke's stronger than he thought, he's like, okay, now I'm gonna go to 80% of my power, 60% of my power, 45% of my power, until eventually he's at 20% of his power. He looks like a roided out train wreck. He's at 20%. They're fighting hard, and then Toguro unleashes the ultimate flex of all time and says to Yusuke, well, remember when I told you I was at 20% of my power before? Actually, I lied! And there's absolutely no purpose to this video. Next flex! Lord Escanor from the Seven Deadly Sins. The Phil Swift of anime. In existence unlike any other in this world. Overpowered king of flex. Escanor easily gets a score of a lot of damage out of 5. Next flex! My favorite flex in Naruto. Rock Lee. Getting drunk. Too powerful for Naruto. Too powerful for Sasuke. He was annihilating the Kazekage. Intoxicated. A ultimate climax of sorts. Capping off some massive journey. My favorite flex, though, comes from his fight versus Gaara. Lee jumps on top of this massive stone hand, and then he drops, boom! Massive smoke clouds just due to the mass whacking into the pavement. It was terrifying. The entire arena was collectively holding their breath because Lee, this dude who was already being defeated, a monster like Gaara, was carrying around potentially hundreds of Sasuke's balls on his ankles. And this is how Lee was when he kicked the butts of Guy Sensei. Next flex! Kazuma, the ability to steal the panties of anyone around him by merely, moving his fingers in very not at all creepy ways. That when I do in public, for some strange reason, people will be willing to do anything with the most maniacal evil laughter ever, because he who controls the panties controls the universe. Next flex! Blue Eyes White Jet! Next flex! If you glance at this glorious physique, all your wounds will be healed in no time. The obvious flexing of Monsieur Alex Louis Armstrong is this bastard to take his shirt off, gets it on with the hot alien whammon, and beats up the alien. Is someone having a bad day? Well, then let's take our shirt off and give him a hug. But he also carves them to the shape of his face. Respect, Alex. Very cool.